Woo! Now you guys, I know that it looks like nothing's going on, but there was some amazing action on the green, and I really want to show you that. And it resulted in this, a thin green line. Now, I've actually done a video on, what I call the background signal, do, 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 do. And it looks like the one that's down here about at 24 appears to, maybe even it's formed by the green resonance, because look what happened. I mean, I'm going to keep watching this, but I want to show you what happened. Ta-da! This is, okay, first of all, there's two unusual things about this. Number one, for about 9 hours, it stayed flat, the quality, at 32. That's the first thing, is that it stayed flat for this long, and that's just so unusual. Actually, I don't remember seeing that. And that's the first thing. And the second thing is that it was up at 32, because usually the peak is 31. So the green resonance quality, which is the clearness of the resonance, was slightly above its usual high. Isn't that interesting? These movements here, it's kind of interesting. Everything was really low. I had mentioned that. And I had mentioned that in the last video, that 2 videos I explained it. And then last video I said I wasn't going to explain it. But again, this time you can see, look, see? Do you see how the range was so low? You can tell here because it goes up to 32. So anything between 4 and 9 just looks almost like a straight line. And basically what you have here is this is between 4 and 7, this is between 4 and 9, and this is between about 5 and 11. So basically, if you were to convert the white, yellow, and red to the same key as numeric values, and the key as the on the y-axis as the green, basically all of these 3 would be in this range with a slight uptick over here in the white over here. So let's go to the other interesting thing was the frequency range on the greens also stayed flat, and it stayed flat above 25, and not just above 25, but like between 25 and a half and almost 26. Okay, so 25.9. This is at the very high end of the normal green frequency range. The other really interesting thing was that it dipped back into the 24s without a high amplitude in the white. Okay, now I guess you did have like a little bit of spiking to, to 43. Okay, you did have a little bit of spiking there. And it does look like this drop down into 24 came right before that. So it did look like, actually I correct myself, it did look like we get a little boost from the white there. But just overall, in case this is your first time, or to catch you up on what I've talked about in recent videos, to get below about 25.2, the green frequency had been restricted, and then it eased up a few days ago and started going the full length of the chart. But it's now, looks like, actually, I'm just thinking about this. Well, this is 24.8, 24.8, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's look at, yeah, I mean, this is actually, it is breaking through. See that? It is breaking through into the 24s. It did have to go down to here. It did have the support of the white resonance amplitude being high, but here it didn't. Bottom line, we're getting some movement now in the frequency range here on our own. This is, I kind of look at the green as representing the human condition or human consciousness. We're starting to be able to break free of this limited range we were in, which was above about 25.2 or a little lower for quite an extended time. That's fascinating. I wonder if some of the activities behind the scenes have something to do with this. And if you go on Twitter or any kind of alt media, you'll see all the explosions and various things that are going on now. Okay, so here is the amplitude, and while this looks very interesting that the amplitude also at the same time stayed elevated for 9 hours, you have to remember it was only at about 5.96. So all these amplitudes, except for the spike here in the white, were basically very low. And I just want to go back to this chart here. So this is where, now I want to talk about the images with you. This is where that spike came through. So we talked about the green line. That was the most fascinating, one of the most fascinating things on this chart. And then the other one was this. And now I want to explain this a little bit, and then I probably will do another video later, but I said that I was thinking of addressing this. And it has to do with occult influences in the chart, but it's interesting because what I've been seeing is that this triangle here, that there's been a triangle. The green resonance has been forming itself in a triangle. And how I view this is when this resonance pops like this and you get an extended amount of green on the chart, it's almost like a clearing of the human energy field, or it supports that. It supports us reconnecting with connecting with our true essence, you as an individual human being, each one of us, what that is for us. And it's been infusing in a triangle shape recently. And the triangle is basically all creations are in energy first, okay? And they occur. There are sacred geometries that assist. Basically, the sacred geometries are like the architectural drawings that you build a building off of. And so a triangle is a simple sacred geometry, a simple but powerful sacred geometry. And so that's what's been showing in the chart. So the triangle has been infused. Now the triangle is part of the basis of some of the control systems, that's sacred geometries. And I don't want to go into the occult explanation of how those sacred geometries were used to do that at this time. But there is an occult aspect to that. Using, basically what the summary of that is using human energy against ourselves, like basically through co-opting or illusion or convincing us to follow a path, like the Pied Piper who plays the flute and then all the children follow the Pied Piper. That's a creepy story, right? A creepy fairy tale. Well, basically it's like real life. I mean, and the more innocuous seeming versions of this are simple advertising in our human culture. You think, oh, advertising, it's just informing us, but it's convincing us, and often through deceit and trickery. That's why I think that the best advertising, just as an aside, is very straightforward and purely emits the resonant frequency of what it is trying to sell. When there's an illusion there, or covered upness, or hidden elements where you're trying to be convinced for something that's not actually in your highest good, and of course, people make money. People can make quite a bit of money this way. But if you want to align, right, with if you're more interested in aligning with your true self, how divine will, expresses through you, your soul, you're walking your soul path, then aligning with that within is the first step, and then making choices where what you engage with in the outside world resonates for you, and then that's where you put your energy. That's where, if you spend money, that's where you're spending your money, where it's aligned. And this is why I stopped watching corporate news actually many years ago. And what I found is that there's a real difference between people who watch corporate news every day. Now, some people do it for research, and do I watch news in general to stay informed? Yes. But I have a habit I try to go to primary sources where possible. I'll explain more about that another time, how to research maybe. But I was trained in research, and so that's why I like to go to primary sources where possible. So if there's a news story about the White House and something they said, I will just go to the White House and look at those press releases, or look at the source video, or look at C-SPAN. If there's something going on in Congress, I'll go to C-SPAN and look at the source video, rather than having somebody tell me about it And sometimes it's nice, you find people you trust and you get a summary from. But it's good to do your own checks, to always to check in periodically that this does still resonate with truth, as I see it. And what I like to do is choose truth, is to, when I do a check-in, is to choose truth that resonates with, the highest source frequency expressed through me, with my, walking my soul path in perfection, that sort of thing. You have to actually clarify, when you ask in your intuition, is this the truth? Do you know that you need to clarify what you mean by truth? Because the concept of truth is so distorted in our language and in its expression in our society, that what I would suggest, if you are seeking truth, is clarify within yourself the resonant frequency of truth that you are seeking. And this is going to change your world in terms of you're doing your own research. Okay? Because what I choose, you could choose, and then define God also. Because, if you, like, I was just thinking, I want truth in alignment with God's will. Well, define God as, the creator of the universe, the highest source light, the source of my soul. Ding, ding. So because there's a general use where people are using terms like God, and you think they're talking about the creator of the universe, and they're not. So define all your terms when you're doing research, when you are checking in within yourself. What are you looking for? And that is what this image is about here. Okay, so you've got the triangle. If you could imagine this as a human face, right, which has sort of a generally oval but triangular shape if you think of the chin down here. Now I'm going to switch to having this represent. So first we talked about representing the triangle and the control structure and light being brought to that. And then the next thing we're going to do is talk about it representing a human face very quickly, and then I'm going to end for a short video today. But if this was a human face and you had one eye here and then you had one eye here, then this would be higher dimensional light being brought to the right eye. Okay, and the left eye here is basically there's a big nothing right there, right? In a way it's hidden. There's no information on it in the chart. But look what's happening on the right eye. Okay, and again, you see what seems like people walking forward, and as the white resonance amplitude spikes, that's right here, that's where you see them walking forward. Not only the most strongly stepping forward, but together. See, you have a head here and a head here, maybe another head here. There's a group in the background. Now, not only have people awakened, but now they're stepping forward with this higher consciousness together. Okay, they're stepping forward. And this occurs in the right eye. If we were to think of this as a skull, this is in the right eye. Now, I've talked about this a few videos ago. Oh, yeah, it's called left eye. But I'll see if I can, I'll try to link that below really quick. Now, when you are talking about energy and occult information, and when you are talking about the human energy field specifically, and when there are entities that attempt to, or sometimes do, possess the human energy field and the human being and suppress the soul energy within the human, and usually this is through trauma, it's through the choices the human being has made, but let me first say the antidote to this is to connect with God and your soul. Right, from that soul connection, that soul light that emanates out into your body from the heart. Okay, so when you call in the spiritual beings, whatever religion you are, whoever that is for you, I've said I like to also work with Archangel Michael because he is the archangel of divine will and protection. But whatever spiritual beings that you call in and work with, okay, and you're when you choose to connect with your soul, when you choose to connect with God's light and listen to what the Creator's will is for you in the way that you do that for yourself, okay, then that is what defeats this energy, okay. That's what defeats an entity from being able to manifest into your field. But anyway, if an entity manifests, it manifests on the left side. And that's why there's a big thing about the left eye. The left eye reveals the possession. Okay, so the left eye reveals the possession. The right eye reveals the human. Now, if you're not possessed, you're human on both sides. Okay, but which hopefully is most of us, but there's a lot of people who have an entity working, and you'll see that on the left side. And the whole celebrity thing with the left eye, famous people getting socked in the left eye, do you know what that's about? That is when their left eye, when their entity is not behaving according to how its masters, its more powerful entities in the field of darkness, that are, that work on earth, and in the highest good, of all, I ask for humanity. I ask, I say a prayer right now that humanity reclaims its soul in divine timing. But for those who are, possessed like this, okay, if they F up, or if they're, being dominated, being told to follow a plan, or there's an unhappiness with how they've been performing, that's when they get socked in the left eye. This is just, are there other reasons as well? Sure. I don't know what those are because I don't have that information. I can just tell you what my spiritual guidance has told me is the case. Okay? So I declare a space of sacred discharge imbued by the sacred flame and the violet flame over this entire discussion of occult energies and of dark forces. I declare that over this video and over this information, so that I'm not transmitting any of this in terms of my story that I'm telling here is of neutral energy. And if anything, yes, I ask that it be imbued with the light of highest good for all. Yes.